Courtroom sketches, where art and law meet. Most people think courtrooms are serious and formal places. However, besides judges and lawyers, there are also artists in courtrooms. They use their tools to draw portraits and record what's happening when cameras aren't allowed. Courtroom sketch artists use their skills to draw scenes from trials. This helps us see the people and their emotions in the courtroom. Courtroom sketching has been around for a long time. In fact, the earliest courtroom sketching dates back to the 17th century. At the time, cameras hadn't been invented yet, so drawings were the only way to show and share what happened. Even today, many courtrooms don't allow cameras because they can make witnesses feel uncomfortable. Some famous trials were recorded in sketches rather than photos. These drawings show key people like the judge, lawyers, and defendants. They also grab the moments of drama, such as when defendants become emotional or lawyers make key arguments. Their drawings help us feel like we're right there in court with them.
Today's warm-up quiz is, in a courtroom, the artist draws a blank of the person on trial. A. Portrait. B. Friend. C. Map. D. Sculpture.
You have 15 seconds to think about it. Time's up.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to English for You. I'm Mike.
I'm Nikki.
And today we are going to be talking about a very interesting job, courtroom sketches, or courtroom sketch artists. But our title is Courtroom Sketches Where Art and Law Meet. So you might have seen these. I think they do these in Taiwan. I don't know if I've actually watched a lot of news reports about court cases here, but in many countries in the world, you can't have cameras in a courtroom. They're trying to protect people. Maybe there are people there who don't want everyone to know what they look like. And they also feel that if there's cameras there, well, the judges, the lawyers, they might be kind of, acting for the cameras. Things just won't be as fair as they should be if it's all kind of private and quiet and not secret. Just not so everyone can watch. But we still want to know what's going on, right? We still want to know who's in trouble and what do the lawyers look like. And, if the judge got angry, what did that look like? That kind of thing. So they have these artists, these actual courtroom sketch artists who go in there with pencils and paper. Generally, they're not doing it with, paintbrushes and ink. Generally, it's pencils and paper.
Sketches.
Yeah, and they draw very quick pictures or sketches of the people and what's going on inside the court. Have you ever seen these before?
Only in TV shows.
Only on TV
not
shows,
in person.
okay.
Yeah, but I would want to try one of these.
It would be
right?
interesting. It would be very interesting. I mean, nowadays, when it's a really important court case, they often will let the cameras go in because the judge will say, well, millions of people in the country want to know about this, so we should show them. So it's often the ones that aren't so famous where they might have a sketch artist. I seem to remember some from when Donald Trump was in trouble a year or two ago, right, before he became president again. I think in some of those New York cases, they had courtroom sketch artists. And, there's, of course, other cases in the past where famous people or really interesting things were going on, and they had these artists. So let's find out all about this job, what it takes, and what it's like being a courtroom sketch artist where law and art meet. The article says most people think courtrooms are serious and formal places. However, besides judges and lawyers, there are also artists in courtrooms. Sure, we expect to find judges and lawyers, sure, and police officers possibly too, but there are also artists there. When we use besides, we're kind of saying A, but also B. And often the A part is the easy one to guess. The B part is the one that is a little more surprising. So you might say, besides dinner and dancing, they also had circus performers at the wedding. So besides the dinner and the dancing, which you expect at a wedding maybe, they also had clowns or jugglers or something a little surprising. So that's why we say besides judges and lawyers, which you expect, there are also artists in a courtroom, which you don't expect. For example, besides Seoul, have you been to any other cities in South Korea? Most people fly to Seoul. It's the biggest city. It's the capital city. You would guess that. But other cities might be a little more surprising and interesting.
那想到法院法庭，大家第一个应该都会想到法官或者是律师，但是今天要来一点不一样的，要来介绍法庭中的画家。Besides 这个介系词指的是除了之外还有。那 you use this when you want to add a little something to your sentence. So you can also say in addition to or moreover.
Yeah, those are good ways to introduce things that are a little more interesting, not the obvious ones you would expect. So what do these people do, these courtroom sketch artists? It says they use their tools, pens, pencils, paper, things like that, to draw portraits and record what's happening when cameras aren't allowed. So this is kind of the way it was before we had cameras. Even in books or newspapers, they might have had artists drawing what they saw or what they imagined they would have seen, which is, of course, the only way we could see things before we had cameras and film and photographs and things like that. So they draw portraits. What is a portrait? Well, you can do a portrait with a camera or film. You can do a portrait with your phone because a portrait is just a style of picture. It's a picture of a person. That's all it is. We can do landscapes, which is a picture of land. So if you're drawing beautiful mountain scenery, that would be a landscape. If you're drawing objects, that might be a still life, right? Artists might just do a painting of a bowl of fruit or something like that. But a portrait will be a picture of a person. It could be a famous person, but it could also just be a member of your family or something like that. But if you see a person and that's the main thing that you're supposed to be seeing in the picture, that is a portrait type of picture or photograph. For example, last weekend, Elaine went to have a family portrait taken with her parents and younger brother, so probably with a film camera. But of course, we're also thinking of the Mona Lisa. That's probably the most famous portrait in art history.
那为什么会有法庭画家呢？因为很多时候法庭内是不开放使用相机照相的，但是呢，还是可以用画的。那 portrait 这个名词指的是肖像或者是画像 ，a painting of a person。那另外 self-portrait 指的是自画像。So for example, Vincent van Gogh had more than 35 self-portraits of him. 那今天的 warm-up quiz 刚好也看到了 portrait 这个字。In a courtroom, the artist draws a blank of the person on trial. 所以这边只能选 portrait， 因为在法庭中，法庭画家只会画法官或者是被告或者是律师的样貌，所以我们只能选 portrait 肖像。
All right, so there they are. They're sitting there with the people who are watching the court case. There's often a little area, often called the public gallery, where you can watch the court case even if you're not involved, and that's where the courtroom sketch artist usually sits. And it says courtroom sketch artists use their skills to draw scenes from trials. So they actually have to draw as the trial is happening. This helps us see the people and their emotions in the courtroom. A trial is basically what goes on in a court. It's kind of like the business of a court. And we, of course, will use different words to describe trials. It could be a murder trial. It could be a theft trial. It could be a white-collar business crime type of trial. But basically, we have someone who they say broke the law, and the different sides are in there. One side is trying to prove, yes, this is the guy who did the crime. This is the murderer. This is the thief. And then the person who could go to jail, the person who could be the murderer or thief, will have their own lawyer saying, no, it's not him. It can't be him. He wasn't near the bank when the money was stolen, or he didn't hate that man enough to kill him or something like that. And the judges will listen to all this and decide who is right and who is wrong, what the truth is. That is a trial. For example, the murder trial got a lot of attention from the public and was in the news most days.
那这些法庭画家通常会速写审判时的场景，让大家可以知道当时涉及的人们的情绪。Trial 这个名词指的是审判或者是审讯 ，a legal process where the judges and the jury decide if someone is guilty or not. 那上法庭受审判，我们可以说 go on trial. Sketch 这个名词指的是素描 ，a drawing that is simple and done quickly.
They don't have a jury here in Taiwan, do
No.
they? It's just judges. Yeah, but in other countries, of course, yeah, they do have a jury who also help decide who is right, who is wrong, who goes to jail or doesn't. Now, what about courtroom sketching? Well, I don't think this is a big surprise. Courtroom sketching has been around for a long time. Yeah, for sure. Cameras are, 150, maybe 200 years old? Drawing pictures with pencils and pens is much older than that, and so are court trials, so they've been around for a long time. In fact, the earliest courtroom sketching dates back to the 17th century. At the time, cameras hadn't been invented yet, so drawings were the only way to show and share what happened, in the same way that paintings were also one of the ways that we know what things from way back then, what they looked like. When we talk about inventing something, it is to create, to make something, often a machine or a device or something, for the first time. This is what inventors do. When we think of Alexander Graham Bell inventing the telephone, or Thomas Edison inventing the light bulb, or things like that, that's basically what we're thinking of. It's not something we would use for artists. Artists create art or create books or songs or something. But inventors, more scientists and engineers, they invent new machines. For example, people in ancient China had gunpowder, but do we know the name of the person who actually invented it?
那事实上呢，法庭素描这件事其实不是新的，而是从17世纪相机还没被发明时就开始了。那因为呢是当时唯一能够捕捉法庭内发生什么事的方法。Invent 这个动词指的是发明或者是创造。So when you invent, you make or design something new. 那你创造出来的东西就会是 invention， 那你就会是一个 inventor。那另外看到 in fact 指的是事实上。那他这边说到了 date back to 17th century 指的就是时间回溯到一个时期。那 at the time 指的就是当时。那另外在这边还看到今天的文法 ，Let's take a look。今天的 language and focus 要看的是过去完成式。那过去完成式通常用于描述过去发生的两件事件。那先发生的事情我们会用过去完成式，后发生的事情则是用过去简单式来表达。那这样就可以很清楚地分辨两件过去发生的事情的顺序。So we say, at the time, cameras hadn't been invented yet, so drawings were the only way to show and share what happened. 前面第一句用了过去完成式 had 加 PP， 表示的是比过去更过去的事情。所以事实上顺序就是相机还没被发明，然后有法庭素描，两件都是在过去发生的事情，但是相机没被发明又比法庭素描来得更早。那再找另外一个例句 Sarah had eaten breakfast before the school bell rang, so she wasn't hungry during class.
All right, let's get back to our article. Next we read, even today, many courtrooms don't allow cameras because they can make witnesses feel uncomfortable. So yeah, as we said, sometimes they will allow, film cameras and even TV cameras into a court, but many times they still don't do that, and that's a good reason why. They can make witnesses, the people who saw the crime. They didn't do anything wrong. They were just there, but imagine if you see a dangerous person kill someone, then you go in and show everyone your face, you could get in trouble from that dangerous person or their friends or something. So people might not feel free to tell the truth in a court if they know that everyone in the world can see what they look like. So it's for privacy and also safety in many ways. Many witnesses might feel uncomfortable if they know the whole world can know what they look like.
那甚至到今天都还有很多法庭是不允许相机使用的，因为会让证人觉得不舒服。Witness 这个名词指的是证人 someone that sees a crime or an accident. In most trials, you need witnesses and evidence to determine if someone is guilty or not.
All right, next we read some famous trials were recorded in sketches rather than photos. These drawings show key people like the judge, lawyers, and defendants. So yes, definitely some famous trials were recorded in sketches in these drawings, these pictures, rather than or instead of with photos like taken from cameras. But they still show a lot of the things that you would see in the courtroom. They would show the judges, the lawyers, the defendants, and other people in the room.
Rather than 指的是而不是，也就是说有很多知名的审判其实都是用素描所记录的，而不是用照片。那这边看到 judge, judges, lawyers, and defendants. Defendant 这个名词指的就是被告的人。
Okay, they also grabbed the moments of drama, the sort of exciting parts of the trial, such as when defendants become emotional or lawyers make key arguments. So these are the things that happen when, the court case really changes or turns or something happens. Their drawings help us feel like we're right there in court with them. Yeah, without having cameras there that we can watch everything happening, the drawings are the best way to kind of give us a feeling of what's going on. And part of that feeling is the emotions or the emotional things going on. Anything emotional, well, it has to do or it's about expressing feelings, strong feelings often. If someone is very emotional, they might feel very strongly about something. It could be in a positive way, like the mother got very emotional when her daughter won a gold medal at the Olympics. You imagine she's maybe crying, but crying in happiness or jumping or yelling out in joy. Or it could be very sad. My friend got emotional when her dog died or something like that. Oh, that's a very sad type of feeling. But it's strong feelings of any kind. For example, Natalie felt emotional but also very proud the day her son went off to join the army. So she's emotional, of course, a little worried for him and what he's doing, but also proud of him for being a man and going off to do something for his country. And we also had the word argument there. Now, an argument is not about, it can be, but in this case, it's not about having a fight with someone, right? You can have an argument like, I disagree with you. You're wrong. No, you're wrong. I hate you. Shut up. That kind of thing could be an argument. It's like a fight, but using words instead of your body. No, but here we're basically talking about what people are saying and the reasons they think it is true. So if you have a disagreement with someone and you're not upset about it, you're just saying, I think my idea is better than you. No, my idea is better than yours, and here's why. Those are your different arguments, okay? So it's basically a point or an opinion, and you're basically saying it's better or it's stronger or it's the one that is more believable or something like that. So as I said, when people have different ideas about how to do something, they might make different arguments for why their idea is the best one. For example, Mark gave a strong argument for why students should have more art classes in school.
那这样的素描除了可以捕捉人物的不同之外，还可以捕捉到被告人或者是律师们开始情绪激动的时刻，让我们能够更身临其境。Emotional 这个形容词指的就是情绪激动的。You have a lot of emotions. You probably want to cry, you want to get angry, or anything like that.Argument 呢，这个名词指的是论点，那它的动词会是 argue， 就是吵架。那这边指的是论点，而不是争执。那喜欢今天的主题吗？不要忘了按赞、订阅、分享我们的 YouTube 频道和 Facebook 哦。
All right, we have our chat question here. What is one famous courtroom sketch you've seen, and what was interesting about it?
Oh, do you know the TV Modern Family?
I know the TV show Modern Family,
but you've never watched it.
I've never really watched it.
Because
no.
one of the character, he's a lawyer. So he got his courtroom sketch drawn.
Oh, okay.
And it was pretty cute because he was trying to please people. So he was trying to act and so that the drawing could be cuter.
Oh, okay. He wanted it to just be a nice picture of himself.
Exactly.
Very interesting. I was actually looking at some famous courtroom sketches because I couldn't really think of any. Here, I got one for you. What do you think this one is? Who's that in that courtroom sketch?
What?
I'm showing her a picture on my phone.
Oh, it's Taylor Swift.
It's Taylor Swift. She's the number one here. I looked up 15 famous courtroom sketches. You can find that on the internet. And yeah, Taylor Swift is in there. They have Lindsay Lohan. They have Amy Winehouse, Paris Hilton. And who's that guy there? I bet you can recognize him.
Oh, that's
Michael Jackson. There you go. So yeah, celebrities are included in these courtroom sketches because yes, it's hard to believe, but even celebrities get in trouble sometimes. So you guys can have a chat about that. Maybe you can find some interesting ones to show to other people. And we're going to be back with more about this interesting topic tomorrow. Vocabulary Review.
Besides being a famous actor, Carmen is a successful singer who sold many albums last year. Portrait. Some of the world's most famous portraits are Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring and Da Vinci's Mona Lisa. Trial. The trial lasted several days as the judge listened to each side tell their story. Invent. Before Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone, people had to contact each other over long distances by writing letters. Emotional. The man became emotional in court when he cried and talked about everything he had lost. Argument. My brother gave several arguments for why we should get a dog as a pet. He thinks they are friendly and can be good friends.
智慧小补帖
Sketch. Witness. Defendant.